A very hearty welcome. This is part 4 of CNS. In this, we are going to discuss again a very small, short, and sweet topic that is called the Brown SEQUARD syndrome. So, Brown SEQUARD syndrome, it is related with the hemisection of the cord. There is a hemisection of the cord, for example. This is the spinal cord. It's a very rough diagram. So, it will be hemisection of the cord on one side. There will be hemisection of the cord. So, what will happen? There will be certain features which will be at the site of the lesion, and then there will be those which are below the site of the lesion. So at the site of lesion, you use your common sense. Like this is your spinal cord. Okay. So at this site of particular lesion, there will be a lower motor neuron paralysis. So there will be related the motor. There will be related motor and sensory symptoms. In motor symptoms, the motor component, that is a lower motor neuron, the motor component will be the anterior horn cells. So these will be the anterior horn cells which will be going. Because of that, there will be lower motor neuron paralysis, and obviously it will be affected on the same side. So ipsilateral on the same side, the lower motor neuron paralysis, the muscle paralysis will be there on the same side of the lesion. For example, right side. So right side lower motor neuron lesion will be there at the same side of the lesion. Whereas in case of sensory, at the same site, that there are dorsal columns. These dorsal columns which are present at that particular site of the lesion, these dorsal columns, they will be present. Again, ipsilateral involvement. Why? Because dorsal columns, they ascend up just like that, and later on when they come at the rate of medulla, when they ascend, and finally when they reach upwards in the medulla, it is only then when they cross. So therefore the dorsal columns of the same side, this at the site of lesion, the dorsal columns of the same side will be going. So there will be ipsilateral anesthesia. And if you know very well, the dorsal columns, they are carrying all wet sensations. It's again written over here. One second. They're related with the fine touch, they're related with the pressure, vibration, and they are also related. Yeah. So fine touch, pressure, vibration, conscious proprioception, and 2-point discrimination. So dorsal column. So here there will be an ipsilateral loss, ipsilateral anesthesia. The person will not be able to feel the pressure, the vibration, the conscious proprioception, the 2-point discrimination, the fine touch, etc. So this was all at the site of the lesion. Now next point is below the site of lesion. Below the site of lesion, you will get the symptoms of upper motor neuron. Again, the motor and the sensory. So motor symptoms, upper motor neuron lesion, the corticospinal tract will be affected of the same side, because even corticospinal tract, it crosses very initially at the level of medulla only. So now the corticospinal tract which is running on the right side, and if there is a lesion on the right side, so the right side muscles will be gone. Upper motor neuron lesion of that same side, ipsilateral side. So the muscles, they will show a spasticity, increased tone, the deep tendon reflexes will be exaggerated, the Babinski will be present. And coming to the sensory symptoms below the site of lesion, ipsilateral as well as contralateral. So ipsilateral, again we talk about the dorsal columns because they cross only later on. So dorsal columns which are present over here, these dorsal columns on the same side will be affected. So on the same side, the person will have a loss. You are understanding this because dorsal columns, as I told you, that dorsal columns, they are coming and they will be at the same side. For example, I have my dorsal column of the right side. It will come, it will come here. The dorsal column of the right side, it will come, then it will ascend just like that. When it reaches high up in the brain stem, in the medulla, then it will cross and then go further upwards. So therefore the dorsal columns, even if my lesion is somewhere here, so even the dorsal columns are still involved on the same side. So right side, there is a lesion of the spinal cord, this right side lesion of the spinal cord, as you can see, this right side lesion. So even now the dorsal columns are of the right side itself. So ipsilateral dorsal column involvement will be there. So fine touch, pressure, vibration, fine touch, pressure, vibration, conscious proprioception, and 2-point discrimination will be affected. Whereas on the contralateral aspect, the spinothalamic tract, what happens in the spinothalamic tract, I'll tell you. So okay, so again, this is our spinal cord. It's very rough, I'm drawing right now. So spinothalamic tract, for example, this side the spinothalamic tract comes. This is, for example, spinothalamic tract of C5. So by the time it reaches at the same level, but actually it is one level above. Means, for example, these are the various levels. This is C5 and this is C6. So spinothalamic tract of the C5 will start crossing, but by C6 it will be completely crossed and will be present on the opposite side. So it starts to cross at the same side, means C5 it starts to cross, and by the time it will cross to the opposite side, by the time it will cross to the opposite side, by the time it will cross to the opposite side, it will have been actually raised one level. So though practically we'll say that the spinothalamic tract, it crosses at the same level, but in depth it is actually one level above. So if the C5 spinothalamic tract of the right side, by C6 level it would have reached on the left hand side. So this is right side, and now it crosses, and then it would have now reached up to at the C6 level. It has reached now on the left hand side, and now it will ascend upwards the spinothalamic tract, and then it will go and it will reach the brainstem, then it will reach the thalamus, the VPL nucleus of the thalamus, and then finally it will also reach the cerebrum, the cerebral cortex, area number 3, 1 and 2, that is the sensory cortex, and so on. Okay, so spinothalamic tract, if we're discussing, so for example, the person is having a Brown-Sequard syndrome. So spinothalamic tract, you can remember for all practical reasons that it crosses at the same site. So it has already crossed. So if there is a person who's having a cut at any level, like a cut is over here, so obviously when we're discussing below the site of lesion, obviously all the spinothalamic tracts of different levels, they are coming from below the lesion, they're all coming from the opposite side. Okay, for example, C7, C6, C5, C4. So for example, the cut is at the C3 level, so all the spinothalamic tracts, they are coming from all the spinothalamic tracts from below. We are discussing below the site of lesion, so they have all already crossed, and so they are coming, they're bringing the sensations of pain, temperature and crude touch from the opposite side of the body. So this is here, pain, temperature as well as crude touch, they will also be gone, but always on the contralateral side, right? Okay, so yes, that's again, this was also a small topic of Brown-Sequard syndrome, the hemisection of spinal cord. Thanks a lot for watching. Please do like, subscribe, share and comment. Have a good day.